Welcome to the Creative Generations podcast. Today I'm joined by Aimee Martel, who is a licensed physical therapist and one of the newest members of our Creative Generations team. Today we talk about some of her philosophies with physical therapy and how she's excited to join the CG family. For more content, follow us on Instagram and our YouTube channel, or you can visit creativegenerations-dance.com. First off, we can just start with maybe if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, your background and kind of how you got involved with dance and how that became part of your life.
I think, like a lot of us, my parents put me in ballet when I was about three, um, and I loved it. I tried some other things and nothing else stuck. And so ballet was all I wanted to do. So I did it pretty seriously through high school. And then, went to college, did the college thing, and then PT school, and kind of found my way back to the ballet world um, after I got my first PT job because I would get the dancers and it was so easy. Like I understood what they were talking about. We could figure out modifications for the studio. And I was like, oh, this is a real gap in knowledge and like medical care. Like they really need they do better when someone has, a deeper knowledge of what they're trying to get back to. And so um fast forward a little bit, I had a new baby, I had some time off, and it was like, who am I going to be excited to go back to work and work with? It's like, I love the dancers. That's who I really enjoy working with. And so we were down in San Diego. We were transitioning back to the Bay Area, which is where I grew up. And it really was like a very cliche moment of brainstorming on the airplane and writing everything down on Southwest napkins. And trying to figure out like how how can I do all the things? Like I want to be home with my baby, I want to go to work. I went to school for a really long time, so I don't want to stop doing that. But like I just want to work with the dancers, and so I actually reconnected with my old studio, which is how I know Derek. We grew up dancing together. Um, so I went back to our home studio, and it's still owned by the same family, the Ballet School, Performing Arts in Walnut Creek. They said, what if I just rented out a room and saw dancers? Let's just see if this works. And she's like, yeah, of course. Let's just see if it
Yeah.
works. And that was in 2012. So it did work. And it's a super niche, field, but it's so important, right? And so that's how I worked myself back into ballet, from the viewpoint of a PT now and not a dancer. So that's
No, that's
how,
great.
yeah.
Yeah, like you said, it's so niche. I remember, when we were dancing, we had an athletic trainer who, during our time there, he came on as a new guy and he was, had this incredible resume. He'd worked with the US Olympic team, he'd worked with NFL teams, and he was a really great guy. Nothing against him, but it's so different for a dancer and just what we do and what we need, and sometimes what we don't need. So I think, every dancer right now has the same idea, but wouldn't it just be the best if we had a PT that was a dancer and knew exactly what we're going through? And that's what you
Yeah.
are. So I'm sure you're
Yeah.
just so
And
helpful.
it's so fun. And I'm the outlier in CG, right? I didn't do any professional dancing, but I had a pretty strong foundation, I think, in ballet. And I can at least I know what happens in the studio. And so I think one of the biggest things for me is, being the person where they can come and say, hey, I'm struggling with this injury, but I don't want to stop dancing. And I think that's a big barrier for a lot of dancers where they've just been told, well, stop dancing for 2 weeks. And
Yeah.
that's like, asking them to stop breathing. Like, and that's never the goal is to take them out of the studio. So knowing the format of a class, I can say, okay, well, let's not take you out, but let's just modify these couple things. Or if, while they're doing petit allegro, you're going to go to the bar and do this instead, but at least you're still in the classroom if that's what you want.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's one of the most helpful things is to have that understanding of the class structure and what's being asked of them and, you know, just because you have 90-degree straight leg raise, like that's not normal for you. We have all these normal values, but like dancers are different. And so I can't look at you and say, oh, well, that's normal. You're good to go. And the dancer's like, but that's not normal.
Yeah.
Like I need more.
Yeah. No, my the thing I always said was like, with a dancer, you can't just like tape up your ankle and say, go run, you know? Um, but no, to your point about, trying to make it so that dancers don't just stop. And I think that's
Yeah.
so often is that, you have something that happens in class, there's like a minor strain or even just a little bruising or whatever. And then all of a sudden they're in a boot for 6 weeks. And
Oh my gosh.
it's like,
Yeah.
what's and then on top of that, you add the mental strain of having to come in and sit and watch. And I think what
Hmm.
you're saying about, having alternative ideas while other people may be doing petit allegro and not just sitting down, I think that's the best. That's
Yeah.
what we should be doing.
And there's always something that they can do. I mean, it's what they want. Sometimes they want to be all or nothing, and it's better for their mental health if they come out and they focus on rehab and they have some time away, and that's okay too. But if they want to be in the studio, you can at least work on your vertebra,
Yeah.
even if you can't do anything with it. There's always
Yes.
something that you can do if that's what you want. And so that's the part I love. And I think that the studios and the teachers that you have communication with, the dancer always benefits, and that's the goal, right? Is to just make sure the dancer is the center of the team. And I think that's what's so exciting about creative generations, is because we have all of these different pieces and it's giant puzzle, but the dancer is always center. And when that's the case, they will be their best selves.
Yeah. Um, I want to ask you something, and I think you're the perfect person to ask because, as you mentioned, you might not have had a professional dance career, but dance has been so pivotal in your life and it's shaped you as a person. And I think it's important to talk about what aspects of your training or your background in dance, what do you think, what parts of those have helped shape you and have helped you in your current career and even in your life, whether it's the discipline and the routine or if it's the creative aspect of it, because not all of our mentees are going to become professional dancers and have long careers. And I think it's important to still gain value from dance and from the dance world.
Absolutely. And I talk to parents about this all the time. They're like, oh, well, they're not going to be a professional dancer. I'm like, so what? As if I didn't have that dance training, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. So, the time management and the discipline and the structure, is that what drew me to ballet, or is that because of ballet? I don't know. Um, but I think there are so many things to be gained from dance training that will carry through any part of your life. And so it's never a waste, right? If that's what your kid loves to do, if that's what you love to do, um, it's going to translate into anything. And there's the dance medicine umbrella is getting much bigger, and I think that's so exciting for dancers who maybe are coming to the end of their career or thinking they're wanting a switch but they don't want to leave the dance world completely.
Mhm.
There's places for you, right? There's things that you can do, and it's a really exciting time because we're realizing that dancers need this really specialized support. And so even having that bit of knowledge of, what goes on in the classroom, what are the demands physically and mentally and nutritionally, they're different. And can you learn it if you didn't have a dance background? Sure. But it really is so helpful to have that understanding and personal experience with it, um, to any degree. But yeah, I think that answered
Yeah.
the question. We went off on a little bit of a tangent.
No,
Um,
that's great.
yeah, but no, it's certainly been helpful, and it makes my job feel exciting, to be able to work with this very specific population, and also to see how it really spans people's lives. I'll have a 10-year-old, rec dancer, and then I'll have I think I had a 75-year-old, new to ballet dancer last week who wanted help with finding her turnout. Like, yes, this is so fun.
Yeah.
I feel like I have the best job ever. um and then even Olympic level, I being in this specialty has opened so many doors that I never would have even imagined. You know, you if you have this dance specialty, you're going to be asked to work backstage with professional companies when they come through your area. Like that's so fun to be backstage. I've treated patients in costume closets. Like you just end up in these really weird, fun situations that never would happen in a regular, outpatient ortho clinic. Um, and then I was the PT for USA Artistic Swimming when they
Hmm,
were training locally.
that's
So
cool.
yeah, and it was amazing. And I, connected with them through their team physician, who's also dance specialized. And I didn't know anything about this sport. It's like, I don't know, you know, but okay,
Yeah.
you know, it's always a struggle for me, but I try. And so I'm like, yes, I will do it. I'm going to learn everything I can about this sport. And I realize there's so much crossover. They're just doing it upside down underwater.
Yeah. It's the same. It's just upside down and on.
Upside down, holding your breath. But anyway, like that wouldn't have happened if I didn't specialize in dance medicine. So it's a really exciting place to be.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait for, all of your knowledge and what you have to bring to the family. We talked a little bit about injuries and, dancers obviously can use you as a resource when they have an injury or worried about an injury. Um, what things can you offer dancers that are just looking to, build strength, build flexibility, um, trying to focus on longevity, staying healthy? Um, what are your thoughts on that and things that dancers can
Yeah.
do?
I mean, I think the push right now is really cross training. And cross training is not something that looks like dance. So, complementary training is yoga and Pilates, and those are all wonderful, and dancers gravitate to them because they're good at them. Um, but I think there has to be some cross training, and that's just really more traditional strength training in parallel positions, things that aren't in turnout, because you're already using those muscles. And so to really work on longevity and muscle balance and joint protection, you have to work in different positions and
Mm.
spend some time underweight. Um, Not underweight, under load, we don't want you underweight.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and so I think that's the biggest thing. And it can be scary because dancers grew up in the studio and not in the gym. And so finding someone who can help navigate and build a program that way. And there are amazing personal trainers too who have dance backgrounds that are great at building programs there. So I think um, once or twice a week, if they can get some true strength training, that really does a lot to reduce the injury risk. We can't eliminate injury, completely, but we can reduce the risk, I think, by building some strength. And there's a lot of like myths that are still pretty robust. Like strength training is not going to make you bulky. It's just
Yeah.
not. Um, it takes so much effort and strategy to bulk up. It's not going to happen lifting
Yeah.
weights twice a week. Um, and it really just makes you safer and stronger. And so I think what I always tell people is, yes, this could help mitigate injury risk, but it's also going to strengthen your technique and let you dance longer. And you might not love it, but sometimes you have to do things you don't love so that you can do the thing that you do love.
Yeah. I think, yeah, that's a really powerful statement. Yeah, I think that's something that we talk about with students all the time is that not every aspect of this life and this career is enjoyable. You try and make it as much as you can, and obviously you want it to be something that you love, to put that much effort into it. But yeah, sometimes you have to do hard things.
Yeah. And that's just life, right? I
Yeah.
mean, Um, but the hard thing is building that into their week without running into the overtraining
Yeah.
zone. And
Burnout.
so that's where it's so hard. And that's where the communication is so important with the company or the studio. Like, how can we adjust their hours in the studio so that they have more time and energy to do this little bit of cross training um, without being completely burned by Friday?
Yeah.
So that's where it's hard because it has to give somewhere. And so that might mean less studio hours, and that's never a popular opinion.
Yeah, but
So it's, figuring out how to navigate that is tricky, but important.
yeah, I think just thinking about my own situation with our second company, due to studio space, our dancers are done at 4 p.m. on most days, which
Mhm.
gives ample time for them to take an extra class or do anything that they want in that time. A lot of dancers have a second job, which is understandable. Um, but I wonder if there are other programs of the like that have that as well. So you can kind of get a sense of whether dancers do have that time or if it's a thing that they're going to have to put in extra time, which, like
Mhm.
you said, could lead to burnout and overexertion.
Yeah. And it's, a lot of times it's another expense too, which
Yeah,
is not always feasible. And so, like, what can we do at home? So sometimes, we'll work on calf endurance and you're just going to wear a backpack and you're going to fill it full of books.
yeah,
Everyone has to have, like, there's your weight, so you have to get kind of creative and it's possible. It's always possible to do something. So it doesn't have to be a fancy gym membership or, sessions with a personal trainer if that's not what you want, but it is possible to do other things at
yeah.
home and get creative with the weights.
No, I love that. I think the less equipment you can use and the less space you can be effective in. I think that's
Mhm.
beneficial, especially like when you get into company life, and let's say it's your first year in a company and you're not really doing a ton and you're doing a full length ballet, you're in the studio for 6 hours and you're dancing for maybe 10 minutes of that and the rest you're just kind of hanging out in the back. I
Mhm.
think if dancers had something they could do within a 4x4 little box,
Mhm.
yeah, that could be very helpful.
Mhm. And it's a pain points, right? Everyone knows something they want to work on, so that's good time management.
Yeah, well, this is great, Aimee. Yeah, I can't wait for you to start working with the mentees. And what are you looking forward to most about working with the dancers and having your clientele?
Yeah. I mean, as a medical provider, a lot of what we do is reactive, right? Someone comes to you with a problem they already have and you help fix it. And so this feels like I can be a little more proactive. Like we
Yeah.
have this system in place, they have PT contact, they have nutrition contact, they've got mental health support. So those systems are already there for them. So you don't have to look for it. Um, Even if it's something like, my toe felt funny a couple days ago, it feels fine now, but what do you think? Like
Hmm.
that would never be an appointment to PT, but if we already have that in place, like that's an easy question, and maybe we can grab something before it becomes an issue. So
Yeah.
I think that's the most exciting part is, being part of this comprehensive team where we really have good communication through all different tiers of wellness, and then being more proactive to help prevent or mitigate some of these injuries, catch them early.
Yeah. I think what's so great about Creative Generations and this whole program is that I think we all have the same mindset of we just want to make not only the best dancer, but we want to make the best people and help them any way we can. And like you said, be
Mhm.
proactive. So yeah, I'm glad that you're on board and you're going to help with that. Yeah,
Yeah, we want them to be the best that they can be. And I think if every dancer had this kind of team surrounding them, that the dance world would be a different place. And I think we're moving toward that direction, and I'm excited to be part of it.
yeah, absolutely. Um, well, thanks for talking to me. Sorry to grab you on a random Wednesday morning, but this happened to
Oh,
be my
that's all right.
so
Oh, perfect. Wednesday morning's good. Well, hopefully we can meet in person someday.
yeah, and hopefully we can do more episodes, more based on like PT work.
Yep.
We already do some episodes with our nutritionist Jody, and those have been really fun talking about like dehydration and audition prep, and we're gonna do an episode on bone density. It'd be fun to even bring you in on some of those, and we could do like the two of you together, just geeking out and giving all the information to all the dancers would be really fun. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Creative Generations podcast. We are so excited to have Aimee Martel on board. She's going to be such an amazing resource for our dancers. If you like this episode, please visit and follow our Instagram page and our YouTube channel. And for more on Creative Generations, visit creativegenerations-dance.com.
What is Creative Generations? What makes it so unique, so needed? And what do we do? An organization created by dancers, we are a team of professional dancers and top wellness experts in dance nutrition and mind-body health who are fully dedicated to helping you thrive. Join Creative Generations and immediately have your own team of mentors and experts supporting you.
And I feel like there's a void in the dance world that no one wants to talk about, and this program is that, if that makes sense. Even if you're perfectly fine, there's still like podcasts you can listen to that you can experience breath work. Like there's always something to work on, even if you are in a good spot.